What's going on YouTube? It's your host, Rich GNT, back with another video. And this is one I've seen circling around a little bit. So I was like, you know what? I want to give my take. A lot of people had a lot to say about it. All I've seen so far were clips. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right in.
White pockets thing, we got black men who from the U.S.
do this.
Do the same thing. That do the same thing.
So are we not going to show up for black people because you know there was a big population of black men who did not vote.
Hold on, to answer that,
okay,
and I'm gonna be real right now. And
let's
black
be
men
honest.
that come in this thing right now. Show me since that election, you seen black men getting their ass mollywopped by the police. You seen black men start. Show me how it's trending now, because black women like, you got it, our hands are off.
Well, don't forget that not all black women voted for Kamala, by the way.
And they're the same ones. Oh, hold on.
Are we not going to show up for black women anymore? Are we not going to show up for black men anymore?
I show up, and I said this on the video. I kept receipts. I know people who kept receipts. Them black women who didn't show up, you ain't never getting me to support them. I was like, you would never get me to support them black men, but I know black men who sit here, and I was like, dude, it wasn't, and just like we were having a conversation early. Like, tell me the reason. I'm not.
So before she jumps too far, I just want to address a few points. This same nonsense of you do something that goes against the culture, goes against being on code, goes against, you know, the skin color. I'm not going to support you. Essentially, what you're trying to tell people is that you had to fall in line with the people that look like you to get support from your own people. And that's why I had this opinion of not all skin folk are kinfolk. Because you see how easily that just switches? Oh, you agree with what I agree with? Yeah, I'll show up for you because you're a brother. Oh, you didn't? Nah, I can't really rock with you. The thing that confuses me is that in the black community, we have these conversations, right? And we don't realize how outwardly racist they are. Or maybe we do, we just don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, if white people to come up here and say the shit like that because you didn't vote for someone that looked like them, like, you know how that would look? You know how that would sound? You know what we would say. We would say it's racist. Because it kind of is. To talk about another point that the brother in the back said, he said how he knows a lot of people that just didn't vote for Kamala. And he's not wrong. But I also tell you this, there's a lot of black men, I say specifically black men because I mostly talk to them, that did vote for Kamala and they didn't want to. I don't know how they put it in their mind that I guess it was going to be on record or whatever. I don't know. It was weird. But talking to them, a lot of them did not want to vote for it. They were just like, look, I felt like I had to because the culture, because the black women and everything like that. There's a lot of them that also just didn't vote in general because they didn't want to get in the middle of that. There's a lot of black people, and the reason I focus on black men because I mostly heard from them say it. Heard a few black women here and there say it, but I mostly heard from black men say that they just didn't vote at all because they didn't want to vote for her, but at the same time, they felt a little weird. They had an internal struggle with voting with Donald Trump. You're free to do whatever you want to do with your vote, but I've heard enough of that to know that, yeah, trust me. That 92%, that 78%, I think 92% for black women, that 78% for black men, that shit would have been a whole lot lower. If a lot of people just, I don't know, not gave a fuck about what people thought about them and just voted how they wanted to, yeah, it would have been a whole lot lower.
Not trying to convince anybody of who they voting for, whatever. Tell me the reason you're voting, especially as a black person. That means a lot to me because no matter what you think, I've been in rooms with bigoted and racist white people. It's two different people. Everybody ain't racist. Some people is bigoted, and we all got a little bit of that in us. And you talk to them, they don't even like you even more when you kissing their behind, and you know they don't like you. They don't like you more than the black person they don't care for because they like, well, you think you still like you coming to do business with me? No, and I don't care about your type of people, no matter if you claim to be them or not. And so I've asked black men, I said, why'd you vote for them? Because I'm looking at you, your pocket don't align with what they're doing.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And because they asked me, well, why didn't you? Because your pocket, yeah, but that's not everybody. And that's not always the thing is you should be voting according to your money. Your morals got to count for something. Yeah. And so they'll say, well, immigration. Or, you know, can we say abortion? Can we say that word? Yeah. Or abortion. And then I've started asking black men, because I think I told him earlier, I asked a black guy who was going kind of back and forth with me about his support of Trump. I said, I've never seen so many black men worry about illegal immigration and abortion until they had to justify supporting Donald Trump.
Yeah.
We got to pause this shit right here. First of all, right, there are many different reasons that I voted for him. Why? Because a lot of what the Democratic Party just in general stands for and what they stand behind, I don't really rock with. When it comes to like the whole gender stuff and everything like that, I'm not going to delve too deep into it. I don't disagree with anything that he's done. And I know even though Kamala Harris didn't speak on that, not because she didn't speak on it doesn't mean it was something that she didn't really, I guess, align with. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I already knew off jump he didn't align with that. I don't either. You're free to do whatever you want to do, but to change the language to fit you, nah, I'm not for that. That's one. Two, when it came to immigration, right? The things that have been going on particularly under Democrat mayors and governors and whatnot. And I've been to some of these states and these cities to see how they're looking, and it's not good. And the Democrats for the longest time were like, oh, everything's fine, there's nothing bad. Then towards the end, they were like, yeah, this is a broken immigration system. It's like, okay, but the Trump administration has certain things set in place, one of which being the Remain in Mexico, and the Biden administration took some of that away. Why? To put forth a bill that ended up getting canceled 2 or 3 times. And it's like, okay, why didn't we just leave the things that were already set in place? The second point was that, and this kind of goes back to what the Democrat Party has started to become, they don't align with the people because a lot of their message is do this or you're racist, feel this way or you're misogynist. And it was like, okay, I feel like you're trying to berate me and tell me what I should and shouldn't do based off of an arbitrary statement, as opposed to trying to get my vote to say, hey, look, we're gonna do this for you, right? And I'm not even gonna bring this as a black man, it should be this. No, as a person, because a rising tide lifts all boats. I just wanted to make sure that stuff was gonna be done for the American people. That's all I wanted. All right, that's all I wanted. And not only that, Kamala out her own mouth said when they asked her, what would you have done differently from Biden? She was like, nothing really I could think of. When it came to abortion, right? And I'm gonna address the stupidity that she said about how she never heard a black man talk about immigration. Okay, cool. When it comes to abortion, that's not my business. I really don't care. The only time I care is it depends on who I get pregnant. I am not getting nobody pregnant unless I'm married. That's the way I see it. What you do is your business. I believe in God, and I believe that when it's your time to go, that's for you and God to discuss and for you to come to terms with. I got my own stuff to come to terms with. That's it. That's my opinions about it. Do whatever you want to do. Be safe and be responsible. That's my whole take on that. I really don't give a shit. When it comes to immigration, I find it very funny that this woman is saying, because essentially what she's trying to say is this: I ain't never heard a black man talk about immigration. Why you want to talk about that? And it's like, okay, first of all, it depends on what type of black men you've been around. I've been around a lot of black men that are well-to-do and they have a lot going for themselves. And we talk about a lot of different things, from my family members to my friends to people I just met in passing, right? And you're telling me that you've never once heard men talk about stuff like that. And maybe because I come from an immigrant family, so these are things that I've always heard them talk about since young, and that I'm older, we're engaging in those conversations a whole lot more. It's very confusing how you're a big grown-ass woman, you're saying, since when black men care about that? It's like, what do you mean? I care about it because I see what's going on in New York. I heard what's going on in Chicago. I see what's going on in LA. That's why I care about it. I got people that live in these places. That's why I care about it. So to come off in your ignorant ass and say, why are you worried about this? Since when a black man, you know what I'm saying? It's funny. They talk about not being put in a box, but when it comes to certain things like that, they want to put us in a box and say, well, black men don't talk about these things. Yes, they do.
Never. And I've been in politics since I've been a teenager and couldn't even vote. And I've never seen so many black men, oh, these are legals. Oh, bullshit. When I'm like, bro, you got 3 baby mamas and your ass on the corner selling. Yeah. So it's like, tell me the reason.
That in itself tells me the type of people that you associate with. Because, first of all, like I said before, you use a stereotype to pretty much designate why black men shouldn't be worried about this thing because they have other things to worry about. The fuck you talking about? That's some ignorant ass shit, like for real. Because what are you talking about? The people I talk to and everything like that, yeah, they may have, situation with their baby mothers, but that doesn't mean that they can't elevate their conversation. And selling on the corner, who the fuck are you talking to? You're in politics, right, as a black woman, and yet black people, black men specifically, that their main day-to-day is just selling shit on the corner? What? Or you being hyperbolic to prove a point saying, I don't know why you worry about this, we got the stuff to be worrying about. I'm confused.
I respect you more if you say, hey, I don't want a brown woman in that chair. It was misogynistic. Got it. I didn't have a problem voting for the black dude. But
this shit right here. One thing I will say is that not once, and I gotta give Kamala her credit, it was her constituents that fucked it up for her. Not once did she ever talk about her being a black woman and how, a black family. She never once talked about that because she got a white husband. She never once talked about that. She never brought up about how, misogynistic and misogyny in men. She never brought up white people this, white people. She never did any of that. It was her constituents, the people that were voting for her and the people that were advocating for her the most, that came out the woodworks and started saying that shit, which really made it seem like it was her saying it when she, as far as I know, cause I watch a lot of her debates and a lot of her interviews, she never once brought that shit up. It's these motherfuckers that did that. And they made it bad for her. So I'll give her props. For real. But yet again, we're back to the same old, you just didn't want to see a black woman in power. You're just misogynistic. It's like, we're telling you what it is and you're still telling us no. How is it that we're this far in and you still don't get it? It had nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman, that she's black. It had nothing to do with that. The fact of the matter is, I honestly didn't feel like I could trust her. And I feel like she's kind of stupid. And then I felt like it was lies when it came to certain things, especially when it came to the border, because they kept talking about a border bill. But at the end of the day, we didn't need a huge border bill to get that shit taken care of and solved. Now we have, because of essentially bullying when it came to terrorists. Now we have Mexico put 1,500 of their soldiers on the borders to make sure that this shit get nixed.
But you had a straight problem voting for a brown woman, and I don't claim she black or Indian because that's her thing. I'm like, for a brown woman who literally would have not. People like, oh, both sides of the coin. No, one is gonna slit your throat. The other one might stab you. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to get the one that's gonna stab me. I got a better chance of surviving.
She had a plan for black men. She had a
whole
plan for
plan.
black.
I saw that little piss poor plan. You know what? Let me relax. This plan that they're talking about that she had, right, wasn't a plan. It was something that was drafted up after there was this whole big thing about how she's losing male supporters, especially black male supporters. And then Obama came out, wagged his finger at y'all niggas, and then he was like, why y'all not supporting? You know, this woman looks like your mother's, your aunts. He was raised by a white woman. And we're gonna sit here and act like she had a plan. I saw that plan. One of the things up there, it was like 5 points, and when you read through it, it wasn't specifically for black people. And then one of the most insulting things that they had up there was fucking weed. What that got to do with me? I don't smoke weed. It rolled out late as fuck. After the whole backlash about how essentially, people started coming out chastising black men, telling them to get on code. So miss me with that shit.
That ego, the same thing with Trump though. That's why I told people I don't dislike Trump, because Trump told you exactly who he was.
You got to respect that.
I said, but the same thing. Trump tapped into the base nature, especially in 2020, of what white men were feeling. Because real talk, white women did this whole pushing of toxic masculinity, and we was like, every man ain't toxic. What are y'all talking about? They was like, no, toxic. So you had men feeling like they were getting ganged up on one. You had history being exposed more to white people during that time a lot more. They was like, well, wait a minute, we didn't invent this, or our ancestors didn't do that. So they were feeling heaped on as white men. And Trump came right in like a
real quick. I know we got to move.
Before she jumps on that, that's the first true statement I heard her say. I started peeping back in 2016, 2017, how white women somehow, some way started shifting all the blame to white men and started putting themselves into like a very marginalized community. I started peeping that. It was certain things that I started seeing. I was like, wait a minute. Why I see a whole lot of white women trying to be like, yeah, white men this, white men that. It's like, what the fuck? I don't like going back in history and being like, well, this is your fault. I don't like doing that shit. It does nothing. It doesn't progress anything. But if you want to, you can't sit back and make it seem white women were just oppressed, sitting in the background going, no, don't treat the minorities like that. Stop. No, that's not what it was. That's not what it was. If we want to have that conversation. Let me say this before I jump to my next point, right? For those of you white people that may be in my comments and everything like that, and I'm not talking about just in general, I mean the ones that are being malicious and terrible and nasty and everything like that. I see the comments. Don't think, right, that I'm gonna be some black man that comes online to start bashing black people. No, I don't do that. I bash anybody. I talk shit about anybody, all right? Your time just ain't come up yet. The next time I see a video that piques my interest and it happens to be white people acting stupid and acting like a fool, best believe I'm gonna talk about that shit. So don't think you're safe. No one's safe. I talk shit about everybody, all right? It just happens to be black people at certain points in time. So let's not get confused. Something I've said for like a while now, years now at this point, I believe all this liberal shit, all this dumbassery, right? I believe it's white women. I truly do. I truly do. And the thing is, I've said this to my white friends, and I've said it to white people in general, so I don't give a shit. I think this is white women. I think they started a whole lot of this nonsense. I said it right here.
Go.
Remember when Trump, he was in office the first time, right? And he's about to get out of office. Remember, he was trying to get the votes to come back, but he lost. And remember all of a sudden the platinum plan?
Right.
He didn't run on none of that this time.
Man, I'm going to have like a fucking aneurysm. So the Trump administration worked with Ice Cube with the platinum plan, all right? It wasn't something that just came up with towards the end. Ice Cube, I believe, proposed it to them, to both parties actually, because a lot of people forget that. It wasn't like he just came to Trump. He went to both parties, right? The Trump administration during that time, they didn't win. They were very much interested in it. The Biden administration said, hey, we'll revisit it. They never did. So Trump didn't come up with the platinum plan. It was Ice Cube that, in the efforts to talk with both sides and constructing this plan for black people. That's what happened. I don't talk about things unless I know what I'm talking about. All right. At least I have the ability to look for it at the very least. It wasn't like Trump's camp came up with it. No, it was Ice Cube. And it never got revisited because of Biden.
None of that.
He had nothing to say about
None of that. But think about the black men who pushed that with him. Because even when he was running last year, like when we talk about the black men we won't support, I knew I'm a fan of a lot of podcasts. So when I'm listening, I listen. So I heard a lot of them teeter-tottering on, both sides of the fence, like, oh, Trump this, a communist, because those black men were so busy thinking they were white adjacent because they had a little bit of power. And so then now they're like, well, yeah, Trump ain't good for the economy. I'm talking financial black guys who was talking all that smoke they was talking to get people to vote for Trump, like sleight of hand. And now they're coming back to Biden because I was like, oh, you literally undoing. So just real quick, I want people to understand when Forbes came out with this, the survey saying by 2053, the black medium household income is going to be at 0. Y'all hear that? 0. Now, this was a couple years ago they came out with this. That's when we still had the springboard of what our ancestors did for us. Now, we don't even have the springboard of that. And they made sure they've done that. So when they taking away these people right for legal citizenship, because the other thing we got taken to play, this is a money grab. I sat in immigration offices and I know how much they getting out of these people's pockets. And I know how they dragging on this process for these people to become legal. So it ain't as easy as people thinking. And these people still paying taxes through a TIN number. Let's get that straight too. I was like, they do this and then they got us infighting and they use the laws that our ancestors set up to literally dismantle them so they can get the people out of here. Because now they tell them we can't even travel to certain things. All that's by the laws that they're dismantling. And
she's 100% right when it comes to that bit, for real. And this is what I tell people, because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to it, and when it comes to like immigration and whatnot. It's a long process. I have family members that had to go through that painstaking process. Is very, very long. I've heard people, the shortest I've heard people getting through with immigration was 7 years. The longest I've heard, 17 years. It really just depends on the case and the situation, how much money you can put towards it. But they are making a whole lot of money with that. My thing is this, I'm confused as to what you're trying to get at, because are you trying to insinuate that they're trying to come up with ways to kick people out that are here illegally? Because as far as I know, there's only been 3 cases, and I got to check up on this, so let me know in the comments. 3 cases of legal residents mistakenly being deported. Not good. I'm not for that at all. Mistakes that shouldn't be happening, but I don't know if she's trying to say that legal people are being deported. I don't really get it. I'm confused. But yeah, that's all the point. That's the only point I just wanted to go over. Just that one segment when she was talking about, like, why people voted for Trump and everything like that. And like I said, I don't know why people think that black people or just any people are a monolith. They're not. They're a diverse amount of black people, white people, Hispanic people, whatever people out there. There's a diverse amount. We're not a monolith. So when people have these points saying, "Hey, well, look, I don't know any black men that was caring about immigration and abortion," it's like, you haven't talked to every black man. And then not only that, it depends, because I don't like separating them, but there is a difference in certain things. Black Americans with like the immigrant blacks and everything like that, there's a whole difference. And just a lot of other talking points, because a lot of people have this idea that, oh, well, you feel like you're white adjacent, or maybe I just agree with certain points and they just happen to be coming from a white person. Like, I don't know. And I find it funny that they say this, because these are the same people, not her in particular, I'm not speaking about her in particular, but these are the same people that want white people to jump up on a platform and support them. And it's like, so wait a minute, are they trying to be black adjacent? Are they trying to be down? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because all that shit's cringy to me. Truthfully, it is. But I'm just tired of this narrative that because I have certain viewpoints that don't align with the black community, I'm trying to be white or white adjacent. It's like, all I'm hearing is, you talk white. It's like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Like, what does that mean? But anyway, that's really all I got for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment down below, tell me your thoughts, let me know if I'm wrong, and definitely let me know, like, any of the points that I've said today that I might be wrong about. I want to be like assured that I'm not just talking out my ass. So literally let me know. And if you say some dumb shit, I'm gonna let you know if you're stupid too. Not in the comments, but in another video. But that's it. You already know the drill. Subscribe if you want to see more. Peace.